GoToWhitney.com.
I want to thank everyone for coming tonight to hear me talk about the book, 100 Things to Do in Philadelphia Before You Die, or as I like to call it, what should we do this weekend? But before I talk about me, I want to know a little bit about you and who's here. So raise your hand if you're a lifelong Philadelphian.
Yeah.
There's a couple, okay. How about if you've been here 20 plus years? How about 10 to 20? Anybody new to town? Okay, so it's a good mix of lifelong Philadelphians. Some have been here a few years and some are fairly new to town. And how many of you have been to Reading Terminal Market? All right, good. How about Eastern State Penitentiary? All right, it's going to get harder.
3 to 5.
Philadelphia Magic Gardens. Okay? Victor Cafe. All right, we're still doing well. One Liberty Observation Deck. Not too many, Bill. You have your work cut out for you tonight. Hop Sing Laundromat. Ooh, okay. So it looks like there's some new things for most of you in the book. Tonight, I'm going to tell you about, briefly, how I came to write the book, what's in the book, how you might use the book, and I'm going to share some hidden gems along the way. But first, I want to tell you what my daughter, a millennial, asked me. She's like, Mom, who uses a book? Why don't you people just Google Philadelphia? Right? And I thought about that. And I think it's because if you Google Philadelphia, it's like going down a rabbit hole. You're going to find a zillion things, you're going to spend hours looking at things, everything looks great. This book is not an exhaustive list. This book is the very best. It's curated for you, and it not only has the 100 very best things, but tips on how to do everything better. So it's like talking to a good friend. Some of the fun things you'll learn in the book are how to snag reservations at the city's trendiest restaurants, where to get the city's best ice cream and gelato, how to get discounted theater tickets, and where you can have dinner being serenaded by future opera stars. I want to tell you a little bit about how I came to write the book. I am not a native Philadelphian. Most people are pretty surprised to hear that. I'm a Philadelphian by choice, not by birth. I've lived in Youngstown, Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio, Kalamazoo, Michigan, Durham, North Carolina, Richmond, Virginia, Pittsburgh, then Philadelphia. I moved here in 1991 and immediately started working for the Philadelphia Convention and Visitors Bureau. A spirited place where I was in charge of giving tours to travel writers. And travel writers are the most jaded travelers in the world because every city in the world wines and dines them and is trying to impress them, and I was too. So I made a point of seeing what amazed them, what surprised them, what delighted them. And the answer to a lot of those questions are in the book. After about a decade at the Bureau, I opened my own public relations firm, Spotlight Public Relations, where I specialize in restaurants and hospitality, and I work with restaurants and tourist bureaus, hotels, and attractions. I've been doing that for 17 years. When one day last year, a publisher called me and asked me if I would write a book about Philadelphia. And I was a little uncertain whether I should do that or not, but I thought it might be fun to share my love of Philadelphia and see if it might be contagious. After all, despite the fact that I'm not a native, my friends call me to find out where to take their mother-in-law, where to take their teenage niece, or where to take their college roommate. And I realized people have a lot of questions about Philadelphia, and I have a lot of answers. The answers, by the way, are take your mother-in-law to the Rosenbach Museum. We'll get there. Take your mother-in-law to the Rosenbach Museum because the book and antique collections are astounding. And you get a peek into a 19th century townhouse on Delancey Street, one of the city's prettiest streets, in Rittenhouse Square, one of the city's prettiest neighborhoods, and she's only on her feet for about an hour. Take your college roommate to Philadelphia's Magic Gardens, which is an outdoor art installation made by a mosaic artist who uses mirrors and tiles and bicycle parts and found art. And it's on the ceilings and the walls and the floor, and you walk through a labyrinth, and no matter where your college roommate is from, she has never seen anything like it. If you haven't been there, you definitely should go. And take your niece to Spruce Street Harbor Park, which is the nation's best urban park, according to USA Today. And it has rainbow hammocks and illuminated lights coming down and giant board games and food and beer. So it's a wonderful place, and your niece will definitely think you're cooler than her parents, who are your brother or sister. So after I considered what I would have to tell people, I thought about how people might use a book about Philadelphia. So I thought people could use a book about Philadelphia as an adventure starter. Just open any page and do what's on that page. Or as an itinerary maker, put it on the nightstand in your guest room. Or as a camp counselor, finding things your kids or grandkids could do with you during school break. Or as grandchild bait. Send it to your grandchildren and ask them to circle things they'd like to do with you. Give it as a teacher's gift, or as a welcome gift to people at work, or to use it for recruiting. I suggest that people use the book to make their own bucket list of things they'd like to do. So I agreed to write the book. And then the publisher told me, this is number 40 in the series. And I'm like, 40? Philadelphia is number 40? I gave them a very hard time about that. Like, they got to Little Rock before they got to Philadelphia. So I gave him a hard time. He hired me anyway. And I have to say, the hardest part of writing the whole book was narrowing the list to 100. If it was 1,000 things to do in Philadelphia before you die, that would have been way, way easier. But 100 was hard. I had to be very calculating. The book has 5 sections: food and drink, music and entertainment, culture and history, sports and recreation, and shopping and fashion. It includes obvious attractions, along with hints on how to do them better, as well as hidden gems. It includes most things within the city, as well as things in the counties. And it has itineraries for young families, families with teens, dates, empty nesters, things that are free, things near the convention center, and happy hour drink places.
Yeah.
I want to tell you a little bit about one of my very favorite places in the book, Mcgillin's Old Ale House. So, how many of you have been to Mcgillin's Old Ale House?
Not counting this.
Mcgillin's opened in 1860, the year that Abe Lincoln was elected president. It was opened by Ma and Pa Mcgillin, 2 Irish immigrants who raised their 13 children upstairs. When Pa died, Ma Mcgillin ran the tavern by herself, and she was a tough, tough bird. She had a list of people that weren't allowed in the bar, including her own father. During Prohibition, she survived by selling tea upstairs. When Ma Mcgillin was 90, she died, and her daughter Mercedes, who grew up right here, sold the bar to 2 brothers, the Spaniak brothers, who ran the bar together, the 2 brothers, until they sold it to their daughter and niece, Mary Ellen, who runs the bar today with her husband Chris and their son Christopher, who's here somewhere. Christopher? Mcgillin's is the oldest continuously operating tavern in Philadelphia and one of the oldest in the country. So I hope if this is your first time here that you'll be back. And the tip in the book for Mcgillin's, here it is, free soup with every lunch.
Nice.
I'd also like to give you a few tips for samples of tips in the book. How to snag reservations at Philadelphia's trendiest restaurants. And some of these tips you're going to be like, duh. But here's the thing. These are things you can do. You don't have to know the chef. You don't have to know anyone special. You don't have to slip the maitre d' $20. So here's how you get reservations. Number one, be flexible. You don't have to go to dinner Saturday night at 7 o'clock. If you can go early, late, a different night of the week, you're going to have much better luck. Or instead of calling and asking for a specific time, call the restaurant and ask them when they have availability. Oh, you have dinner reservations Thursday at 7? Yeah, I can do that. Next, try open table. But sometimes they won't have anything between 5 and 9. So then, call. A lot of people don't know that often restaurants don't put all their reservations on open table. So they'll have reservations available if you call. If you call and they don't have reservations, ask if they have a waiting list. Lots of restaurants don't advertise it, but they take waiting lists. So if someone's babysitter cancels, they get a flat tire. That never happens, David. He had a flat tire last night. So if someone gets a flat tire, the first thing they do is go to the waiting list. Also, many restaurants take walk-ins. Veg, people feel like it's impossible to get reservations, they take walk-ins. So make reservations somewhere else for 7:45. Walk in at 7 o'clock. If they have a table, you take it. And if they don't, and if you do that, by the way, cancel the 7:45 reservations. And if they don't, you have a backup plan. Next, ask the restaurant about their rules. Some restaurants open their reservation book Tuesday at 10 a.m., 60 days in advance, and then call exactly when they tell you to. Next, consider sitting at the bar. Lots of restaurants do serve the full menu at the bar, and it can be a lot of fun. And last, follow the chefs and restaurants on social media, because often if they have a table available or have a cancellation, they'll tweet or post on Facebook about it. Oh, and learn how to turn pages easily. Okay, so that gives you a taste for what's in the book. I hope it will inspire some wonderful adventures here in Philadelphia. If you buy it tonight, I'm happy to sign it for you. And also, I encourage you to visit my website, which is www.100thingstodoinphiladelphia.com. And find the links to my social, to my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, because I'm always updating those with pictures of new restaurants and new things happening in Philadelphia, information about events and new things to do, and because I want to hear about the adventures you have. That's all I have. Any questions? Any questions? All right, I have a question. People always ask me, have you done all 100 things? And the answer?
Have you done all 100 things?
Thank you.
You're not done yet!
Yeah.
I will tell you I spent 6 months going to every bar in the book. And since my poor husband had to drink at every one of those bars, we found out what his limit was. And I went to more bars in the last 6 months than I've been to in the last 2 decades.
Yeah.
I mean, I do all my drinking every day. But there is one thing in the book I did not do. Because I am not ready to die yet and I'm protecting my health. People want to know what that one thing is, but you have to read the book to find out. Any other questions?
Swimming in the
How did
scuba.
the ranking? How did the ranking
A lot of people ask me that. So, despite the fact that Mcgillin's is in the top 10 pages, it's not actually in any specific order. Because my top things are going to be different than your top things because you are half my age. So, that's why I put itineraries in the back for different demographics to help everybody pick their own top things. So I just recommend page through it, dog-ear things, circle the things that appeal to you, because they're going to be different than what I pick.
So we're not the ninth best thing in Philadelphia?
You are the best thing in Philadelphia! You're the only bar in the book I was ever in before I wrote it. Okay?
What was 101?
That's a very good question. I wrote 105 things to do in Philadelphia before you die because I thought the publisher would cut a few things. And then the publisher came back to me and said, okay, cut 5. And it was like choosing between your children. And that's hard to do, although I do want to point out that only one of my children is here tonight. I'd also like to point out that, not on purpose, but by mistake, by magic, the Philadelphia 76ers turned up on page 76 of the book. Way to not answer the question, huh?